Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about how I spent the last 2 years during COVID and lockdown learning how to walk again in two ways, and also how we built a tech startup within a law firm. Yes, that's right, a tech startup within a law firm, both of which were pretty painful. I'd like to start by saying thank you. It's really great to be here and seeing everybody in person and not doing this as a virtual conference. It's also really good that somebody else is controlling my microphone and it's not on mute for once. And also, I'd like to thank Jaroslav, because I said I wanted to do this on Zoom, and he promised me a virtual background. And I think you can all agree they've done a fantastic job here. My name's Ilan Sherr, as you've been told, and my background is I'm an EU and competition lawyer at DLA Piper. So as you can imagine, I'm a reasonably cautious lawyer. But in my spare time, my hobbies are jiu-jitsu and rock climbing, where we throw caution to the wind. And today I'm going to talk about how I took that risk-taker energy of my hobbies into the office and how we created Aiscension. And that's Aiscension. Aiscension is our artificially intelligent lawyer. And we worked with AI data scientists, some of the leading data scientists in the world, along with our specialist lawyers across the whole of our DLA Piper global footprint, to create a risk detection tool using neural net artificial intelligence. And then we took it to clients. And I have a bit of an apology to make. I've spent the last 10 days in 4 different countries, and I've totally forgotten what time zone I'm in. So I have some speaking notes, I'm afraid, so that I don't forget everything that I'm going to say or fall asleep on the stage. I asked for an intravenous drip of caffeine, but they refused it for health and safety reasons. But I'd like to start to talk about law, because law is very important to us. It's particularly important to a room full of lawyers, because it does pay the bills. But law is important. And obeying the law is particularly important for us as individuals, but also for the businesses that we work for, to make sure that we're in a responsible and ethical society. And whilst obeying the law is important, it's also worth pointing out that it's quite hard. Most of us know what is right and wrong, but when it comes to some of the legal issues, particularly in relation to regulatory issues, the law is complex. And training it to the employees within our business is not an easy task. And they do make mistakes. The law is complex, it's hard to understand. Often, also, the law is unclear. We're not exactly sure what the position is. And in many cases, as the world is evolving so quickly, and the reality is changing either from COVID or from digitization, we feel that the law is not up to the standard that it needs to be, and it's still developing, and we don't know where it's going to go. And equally, to be fair, and I'm saying this as a private practice lawyer, the delivery of our legal services is a little bit behind the times. It's clunky, and it's very hard to change lawyers and lawyers' mindsets. Again, I'm saying this to a room full of lawyers, so no offense. Present company excluded. But it's clear that lawyers do need to be better. As a professional community, we need to be slicker in the way we provide legal services. And the reason for that is that the world has changed. We've gone digital. The world is digital. The boundaries that we had many years ago no longer exist, and what we're capable of within law firms is very different, and what we're capable of as a society is very different. Just look at virtual working. We have gone virtual. What we're able to do virtually is absolutely fantastic. And it's probably fair to say that the methodologies that we created in a pen and paper world are no longer fit for purpose in the world that we currently are in, where we have Google, Siri, and Alexa. We have big data problems. And when you have big data problems, you need big data solutions. And I'd probably go further and say that we now have big data legal problems, which are quite expensive to deal with, and we now need big data legal solutions. And to solve that, lawyers need to embrace technology. And I know there's lots of lawyers in the room here, but we're at a Legal Disruptors Conference, and I think we were all able to embrace technology. But to do that as lawyers, we need to do that collaboratively. We can't work alone in a silo of lawyers. We need to look at the legal tech products that are out there, and also the legal tech providers, and work with them in order to develop effective solutions for our clients. And that's effective solutions for our clients, but how do we know what our clients actually need? And it's simple. We ask them. So at DLA Piper, we have a community called WIN, What In-House Lawyer Needs, and it's used for training and networking. Everyone's welcome to join up if they'd like to. But we use it as a training and networking methodology. And one of the things we did recently is we reported a survey of results of a questionnaire that we sent out to our in-house lawyers. And they told us a whole load of things. Some very interesting things that they told us is that their budgets are not increasing. Their legal budgets are not going up. And this is particularly interesting because inflation is going up, legal inflation is going up higher, so in real terms, their budgets are decreasing. But what they're also saying is that the demands on them within their business is increasing. They're having to do more with less. And then what's particularly interesting for me is when we asked them what are top priorities within your organization, about a third of them told us that business growth of their business that they work in was a top priority, which is unsurprising. You would expect that as a person within a company, business growth would be important. But for me, what's really interesting and really telling is that a larger proportion of in-house lawyers rated compliance and risk monitoring as a top priority. That's nearly half. So more people thought that compliance and risk was an issue than business growth. What this tells us is a few things. First of all, compliance and risk monitoring is a serious issue for in-house counsel, but also that lawyers need to find cheaper ways of delivering compliance solutions because they have in-house lawyers who have lower budgets and higher demands. And so I'd like to introduce Aiscension. So Aiscension is our risk management platform that we designed using neural net artificial intelligence, and it was designed to solve this problem. We've trained it to spot various types of risks. I'm an EU and competition lawyer, so I'm going to talk about the module that we have out at the moment, which is in relation to cartels. You probably all know what a cartel is, but cartels are agreements between competitors to rig the market in some way. And they're highly profitable, which is why businesses do them. They artificially increase the market position of a business by being involved in a cartel, and businesses do better out of it, but at a cost. Usually at a cost of competitors, customers, or suppliers who are being fleeced. And as a result, it's bad. It's bad for us as customers, it's bad for us as individuals, and it's bad for society, and it's bad for the economy. And so it's been outlawed. Not only has it been outlawed, it's criminalized. So people can actually go to jail for being involved in the cartel in a number of jurisdictions. And the fines for cartels are some of the highest level of risks for a business out there. And that's because the fines are astronomically high. The regulators can fine up to 10% of global group turnover. That's turnover, not profit, and it's group, so it pierces the corporate veil. If you're part of a very large group of companies, that's very high. And also, being involved in an investigation is particularly horrible. A quick show of hands, how many people have been involved in the competition dawn raid? A dawn raid is where investigators turn up unannounced at your premises and sift through all of your documents to find problems. Raise your hands if you've been involved in an investigation of any form, or a regulatory investigation. And also raise your hands if you've ever received a very large bill from your private practice lawyers for reviewing large numbers of documents as part of that investigation. And it's not fun. And I think it's now probably worth providing a bit of a personal story. So in October 2019, on my way into work, into DLA Piper, I was walking along a pedestrian crossing, and I was hit by a motorbike, which broke my leg and crushed my ankle, and I had my ankle reconstructed. So I spent the 2 years of COVID and all the lockdowns learning how to walk again. And so I've become a bit of an expert on pain and avoiding pain, particularly avoiding pain. And what I would like to say, I did all of the exercises that were given to me in order to do better, and as you can see, I'm doing quite well. But it's probably worth pointing out that avoiding that pain was a big driver in relation to what I was doing. And I think for me, that answers this point that's on the slide of why compliance and risk monitoring has a higher priority than business growth. Because business growth you'd expect, it's where you want the business to be. But what keeps people up at night, what causes in-house lawyers pain, is the fear of compliance and risk issues surfacing and causing them and their businesses a lot of problem. And there's a lot of hidden risk there. And it's particularly painful because it's very hard to manage. And how do we manage that? Well, the answer is we try and spot it early, because if you can find an issue early, you have lots of ways of dealing with it, much more ways of dealing with it than when a regulator is knocking on the door. And for those who have been involved in investigations, we know it's not a pleasant exercise. But, I mean, for example, in cartels, if we spot an issue early, you can actually also be a whistleblower, where you go to the competition authorities, you tell them about the issue that you've been involved in, and you can get leniency. You can get 100% immunity from fines, zero pain. You can get immunity from prosecution. So again, nobody would be going to jail. So it's really huge to be able to spot these things early. But spotting these things early is hard. And the reason it's hard is when we're in these new modern organizations, these risks are buried in big data. It's very hard to find the problematic issue, the needle in a haystack, in a very large chunk of data. The way we do that at the moment is we run investigatory reviews of large numbers of documents, and that's expensive. And again, I'm speaking to a room of lawyers. Expensive is just another word for painful, and we want to avoid pain. So this is a visualization of a data set that we have, and this is the Enron data set. There's no confidential information here. It's all in the public domain. And these are the emails created by an individual person over time. On average across the whole of industry, a person generates around 120 emails a day. And that's interesting because that means that data grows very quickly, data within an organization. That's 2,500 emails a month. If we want to review just a small team within an organization, within just a small period of time, let's say a year and a half, that figure amounts to about 500,000 documents. So numbers grow very quickly, very fast when we're talking about data in the modern world. And finding the issues within that data means it's even harder to find. This is a big data legal problem, and we need a big data legal solution. And at DLA, we saw this as an opportunity to find something that could work and do things that are different. So as I said before, I'm a lawyer, but I'm also a bit of a geek. But I'm in good company at a Disruptors Conference where there's lots of other geeks. I prefer the term technophile, so I like technology. And we wanted to find a better solution. Now, many lawyers here will know of e-discovery. There are a whole load of e-discovery techniques that are out there which speed up our ability to review large chunks of documents quickly. And there are technologies such as technology-assisted review, predictive coding, machine learning, and continuous active learning. But there's a new kid on the block. There's a new technology which far surpasses all of the ones that have gone out previously, and that is the advent of neural net artificial intelligence. And I know it's already been mentioned once already today. Neural net artificial intelligence is a new type of artificial intelligence. Well, it's not that new, but it's come on leaps and bounds over the last 5 years. The way we as humans work is we remember, we disseminate information in our brains, and we analyze it in our brains by building neural net pathways. And artificial intelligence neural net technology recreates those neural net pathways, and it actually learns over time. And it can remember information without remembering the underlying data. So we can remove client data sets, but apply that learning onto new data sets, which is very important for confidentiality and privilege, but it also means we can, as an institution, learn from what all of our organization is doing. And at DLA, we have offices in over 70 jurisdictions. And neural net is growing, it's getting better. We've had massive advances over the last 5 years. So much so that you probably have all used neural net artificial intelligence already today. We do it when we ask our phone questions. In the 1960s, in Star Trek, this was science fiction. Today, it's fact and reality. We use it in our Google searches to get even quicker, more efficient, and more effective results. How far down do you actually scroll to find the relevant information? And that's out of the whole universe of data, but Google is using neural net AI to boost the results appropriately. And also on our doorbell at home in my house, we have facial recognition on our door so that when somebody rings the doorbell, it tells us who's at the front door. That's probably a silly use of neural net AI, but it's very effective and quite fun, apart from all the Amazon deliveries that we get. I have a 3-year-old son, Charlie, and his first word was not daddy or mummy or no or yes or please or thank you or mine. He's a third child, so mine is normally quite a common one. His first word was Alexa. It was actually Aleka. You laugh, but he's 3. He loved the ability to ask something to play him fun music. But he's grown up in a world where neural net AI has always been there. We're not talking about the future. This is not a bright new world. This is today's world. This is today's technology. And so at DLA, we've trained a neural net artificial intelligence to spot regulatory issues. We used lawyers, and we used NextLP. They have one of the best performing legal AIs on the planet. The inventor, a guy called Dan Roth, won the McCarthy Award for AI, which is the Nobel equivalent of AI. And we trained it to spot cartels, and the results have been outstanding. So I've got 3 cases for you. The first one, the first time we ever used it on a real data set, we had 80,000 documents. We threw our AI at it, and we started reviewing the output of the AI, a bit like reviewing documents after your Google search. And we found a smoking gun cartel document in 10 minutes of reviewing. Imagine what you could do in your risk management processes if you could find the problems within your organizations across your big data that fast. It's astounding. But you might be worried. Maybe neural net is not a good technology. Maybe the quality is not as good, so we're making sacrifices. And what's interesting is we found that in every review where we've compared it against other reviews that have already been conducted, using the neural net technology to speed up the process and lawyers reviewing that output outperforms the previous review. So in a review of 1 million documents that had been run by one of our teams in Canada, they had found 29 issues. No smoking guns, but they sent it to us to re-review, and we had no idea of what the previous results were, and we found 31 issues. We outperformed them in relation to quality. Admittedly, it's a marginal outperformance, but what's interesting is we did it in 1/10 of the time. Massive time savings. And that time saving also is a cost saving. So we also ran a case study of 500,000 documents. It's published on our website. We went out to tender on this one to find out how much it would cost using the e-discovery techniques, the modern e-discovery methodologies to run the same review. And we were quoted that it would be between 2,000 to 6,000 fee earner hours. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of euro to review this number of documents. Using neural net AI pre-trained to spot the issues, we found all of the relevant documents, and we provided a report to the client within 91 billable hours. That is an order of magnitude game-changing way of providing risk and compliance services to allow in-house lawyers to avoid pain. Now, I've only been given 20 minutes, and I know we're very short of time. So if you want to find out more about neural nets, how you could use it within your own businesses to improve your business opportunities and improve business services, I would love to talk to you. I've made available 6 30-minute slots on the 7th of July, and if you're interested in speaking to me for 30 minutes to find out about neural net AI, how it could work for you, find out what you're doing and talk about the opportunities, find Eleanor Pollard. Eleanor's going to stand up, and she's got a list of those. They're on a first-come, first-served basis, so do book them. Or give me or Eleanor your email address or business card, or come find me in the break. Don't leave me lonely by the drinks. And we can find out more. But I want to leave you on one final thought, which is if you're not already using neural net AI within your business, you're missing out. Thank you.